Welcome back. Order do manage to pick themselves up a victory, but Juves, in draft, that was a very dangerous game to play, we felt, against Gravitas.
Yeah, so, I mean, what it looked like to me, the way the order drafted, was that they just relied on winning their counter matchups in terms of like an individual 1v1 basis, because when you looked at Gravitas' composition and you put the nuts and bolts together, which was like the Ornn, the Akali, the Yuumi, Aphelios, it's quite a scary 5v5, right? And what it feels like is that order really needs to come out of laning phase with a very big lead or, a lead at least. And they did that, right? They had a really good game plan in the sense that only just perma invading, forcing skirmishes. And to Order's credit, they executed what I would feel to be a very volatile composition.
And talk to me about, because you've jungled before, sometimes you have rough games. How is it important that your team rallies around you and gets those early invades going if you are coming off the back of, I think it was like a 0-5 Trundle or something yesterday?
Look, I think that it doesn't necessarily matter. I just think it matters to how you play your matchup, right? And it's like only knows, Olaf is going to full clear, get low to maximize the efficiency of his clear, right? And so, being the seasoned jungler that only is, he's like, okay, guys, I'm going to invade. Ezreal Bard played for priority, were able to get it early on, and they punished accordingly. I don't necessarily think there's a thing like, we're losing, let's invade, let's rally together and get together. I just think that it's good to see the confidence coming out of Order after what was a rough game from them yesterday.
And Rusty, you said pretty quick game.
Yeah, I mean, a quick game is a good game if you're the winning team, right? There was a couple of things in there, but only a couple of things that Order would look at and say is things that we could continue to improve. That's just fantastic from them. Anything to get the 1-1, right, Sport?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a big fan of 1-1s where I'm from. And Skimmy, on the flip side of that, some negatives definitely for Gravitas, but don't want to dwell on them too much. The one player I do want to talk about is Suman on an assassin again. How important is it that this team never puts him on Karma in a professional game ever again?
Without a doubt. I mean, despite the result and despite the fashion it was in, so different to what we saw yesterday, right? It just seems very interesting that they tried to experiment at this late stage of the year as to let's try and understand maybe a new play style. It seems very clear cut that, the mid jungle is their major strength as a composition. Then to sort of say a lot of the agency that we can emit, we're going to put it all on Puma's shoulders to try and outplay. It felt strange to me, and I think it's refreshing to see them go back to basics.
And whilst Gravitas will fall to 0-2 on the weekend, water is still wet and Order will be able to pick up their 1-1. But guys, we're about to dive back into the spawn bag. And this one comes from definitely not producer. And the question starts with, no. Are you kidding me? ? Are you joking? ? Are you laughing right now? Do you and the rest of Order have to mug children trying to make their way to school for their lunches and form some kind of criminal mukbang? Now, this was in response to the Order video where there were Order players putting unmelted cheese on raisin toast. Apparently.
On raisin toast is questionable. It's very questionable.
What is the worst thing you've had to eat in a gaming house to survive?
Me?
Yeah.
My one's probably going to be a little bit pretentious. So, Jake, you know my background. I come from an Italian family, and we do make our own pasta sauce, and we do and I've never had pasta sauce from Coles or like a bottle. It's always homemade.
This is me and your story. Yeah, 100%. Keep going.
And so, in the gaming house, Coles sauce and pasta is a very staple meal. And when they said pasta was dinner for the first time, I was like, okay, sure, I'll eat it. But it is something that was, for me at least, and Coles sauce I'm sure is nice, but for me, unedible. Because I'm used to like the homemade, you literally do it from scratch.
Juves, I once, my team was in a slump. This is like 2018 Order. Like we're the super team. We're the super team. We're in a slump. No, this one is pasta. So I go out, I buy veal and pork, and I make a slow cook sauce. It's like a 4-hour sauce, and it's just from scratch, like everything involved. And one of my players said, I'm sorry, I don't like pasta sauce like that. And I said, can you please try it? And they said, no. I said, do you want something? And they said, just give me pasta. And then they walked to the fridge and they got out cold ketchup and just put tomato sauce on pasta and said they would prefer to eat that.
That's horrendous.
Wait, that's against the law.
Wait, so you're telling me that person didn't get sacked?
That person did not play on Order in 2019. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But there are some... What I'm trying to say is, the way it works at Order, I don't know how it works at other gaming houses, but we give the players all their dinners, so we actually use a like prepackaged muscle meal kind of thing. It's not muscle meals, it's some called something else, but they get like pre-cooked dinners that they just have to microwave because coming off scrims at about 6 to 7, you don't probably want to spend the time cooking then. But we provide groceries for breakfast and lunch. And the expectation is that the players cook themselves breakfast and lunch, and we get some bacon and eggs and some, scrambled eggs on toast, avocados. A couple of boys are a big fan of smoked salmon, so we'll even have smoked salmon in the gaming house.
I know who's that fan of that.
What I'm trying to say is we're not a cheap organization. It's just the players sometimes wake up a little bit late, which I'm sure a couple of the other people that have been a part of teams know. Then all of a sudden you end up with 16 pieces of raisin toast in the toaster with slices of cheese as a form of sustenance.
Yeah, they have the options to make a Gordon Ramsay-esque restaurant meal, but solo queue sometimes cuts into cooking time, and before you know it, you're left with 2-minute noodles. And then the chicken's gone off that's in the fridge.
What I will say is there is like a McDonald's and a couple of other fast foods around the corner, and the boys do frequent that area. But Bill is the best homemade burger person. Ayla, not only is a Smurf on Bard, but he is a very good cook. Rusty, who was the best cook in the Avant house when you were there?
We had a system where each day someone would cook for the whole team, right, for dinners. And it hit a point where we started to have less and less of the players cooking, and they were volunteering to do the cleaning while others cooked more often. So each player usually had their specialty. Shock, as an example, was very good at making his meatballs. I wasn't never there for the dinners, just for reference. I would go home and make my own. But from what I could tell, Shock was a big fan, or the house was a big fan of Shock's cooking when he made it.
I see Lisa post a lot of social media pictures with his cooking, and apparently he's a real Chad in the kitchen.
Juice, who was the best on Gravitas?
Raid. I think Raid was. He got inspiration to make like Asian style dishes and went on like a big fitness cleanse, so his deals become a lot simpler, but his meals became simpler, but when he tried and put effort in, he made good meals.
Okay, the next question is from Unknown, which is because of some questionable content shown at the Order House in regards to food choices. I see a theme emerging. I'm reading these as we go. Cheese on raisin toast, for example. Can I be the Order House cook/baker? I cook a mean chicken risotto. The answer is no. The players must learn to do it for themselves.
I think cheese
I'm not even going to get into that one.
Cheese on raisin toast is legitimately 2-week holiday, for sure.
No way. When you have a fruit platter, a cheese and dip platter, you sometimes put quince paste on it, or you sometimes have apricot. Cheese and fruit is like a quintessential staple diet for a lot of people. I don't want to hear the slander against my man Swiper after this weekend.
I'm supporting Swiper on this as well. If I have more time, I'll make something more legitimate. But if I'm running, I will put cheese on raisin toast, and I will enjoy it.
There we go. And Raz says, I've ghosted my Australian brother for quite some time now. He'll send me some below-average song suggestions, and I wouldn't give him the time of day. What should I do to let him know his music taste is C-tier? Now, I'm going to come to you first, Skimmy. If people are sending you bad songs, how do you do?
I'll give them I'm a nice guy, right? Because I'm like, oh, that's cool that you shared it with me, but I'll say, I'm not the biggest fan. I know me and Rusty right now are exchanging tons of music on the day.
Oh, yeah,
what do we
is
enjoy?
it good?
And we're both I'm like, whoa,
is
I
it
like
good
this.
music?
It is, bro. I'm vibing.
Weird.
There are stuff that I'm already into, but then there's that music you showed me the other day, right? And I was like, I've never heard of this, but I can see the appeal. I'm about it. But I think if somebody sent me some bad music, I'd be like, oh, no. Top 40 pop music. Play the radio, mate. Off you go.
Juice, what would you do?
Well, I don't know. I feel like these guys are way too nice. There's one of my good friends, Shots, who's in the esports scene, works for Avant. He's a big music fanatic, and when he links me a song that's bad, I tell him not to link me a song ever again, and it's garbage. That's it. Sometimes you just need to tell people the truth.
So there you go, Rusty. Never link Raz a song ever again.
He absolutely likes the music I'm linking. I reckon 80% of that post was an absolute lie. He's telling Porky Pies Spawn.
Porky Pies.
Intel Merc says, I'm an American who is just getting into the OPL via VODs because I can't stay up until 5 a.m. twice a week. Can I hear a pitch from each caster on what team I should root for? Win my loyalty over. Skimmy, start with you. You'll probably go on Legacy. Go for it.
Legacy, they're attractive, they're chads, they're gamers, they win. If you want to be a winner, you go Legacy.
All right, Jubes.
So there was a team once upon a time in Telmer called Sin Gaming. That's a team that you could potentially support because, they had the best looking players. They were the most talented. They won Rift Rivals. They were let down by a few other teams in the international tournament. So that's the team that you should be supporting.
And if you're watching VODs, you may as well go back to the golden days of 2016, right, Jubes? No point watching modern League of Legends if you're on VODs already.
Just go 2017. Strictly 2017 because everything before and after I was just miserable.
And Rusty, who are you pitching for?
Oh, who do you want me to pick, right? Like, I guess I would say be a fan of the Chiefs because they could all carry. They're all fun to watch and they have exciting games. You could pick a team like AV if you like early aggression. You could pick Pensanet if you like Pabu and you like winning all-star games. There's a reason for every team. We've only really named one of them and Sing Gaming so far.
All right, and I'm going to go with you get on the hype train early. And so I would go for like Pentanet or Gravitas, like one of the new teams in the comp, because I feel like they're going to value your like membership or like fandom more than the other already established teams. Like maybe you can even get in with some of the friends, some of the players, and then like when they build towards success, and Pentanet already on their way there and only their second split, you know that like you're going to be one of the people that get to ride the really high highs. I love the people that are there from the beginning, so absolutely I'd be picking one of the newer teams in the OPL, or if you're a fan of Melbourne, go Order. Lapscallion for the last question.
I know Lappy.
Says, what is the etiquette for disposing of unwanted gifts from close family? Jude, you're heartless. How do you do this?
So, okay, how you dispose of unwanted...
I like how he already knows the answer.
Yeah. Unwanted gifts from family, from close family, right? You don't open it if it's trash, okay? You say thank you with a smile on your face when they leave. Then you give it... When you get invited to a birthday, that's not really your friend, and you're just there because, like... It's like, the way that the cookies crumbled. You give that trash family gift to that friend. 100%. No. That's it. Because that friend doesn't know your family and they'll never see each other again. And now they have a $50 clock radio that they can be happy with.
So
I
what
say
if
clock radio because it's happened to me in the past. I got a clock radio I was not happy with.
No. So if someone comes up to you, Juice, this family member that's given you the clock radio a year later, and they're like, "Are you liking your gift?" What do you tell them?
It broke. I didn't have the receipt. It was a present.
Okay,
Rusty, you got any ideas?
I actually regifting is the first easy option. Disposing of them, yeah, that's the nicest way to do it. Maybe you could donate to charity or something. Maybe you can go in a charity bin, and you could just say that it broke as well. Juice gave me my answer on the second part.
All right, and Skimmy, what are you thinking?
I think I've actually been fortunate enough majority of the time to have the receipt attached with the gift. So
you go with the cash option.
Yeah, no, his family likes the flex. Here you go, young Skimmy. This is what we spent on you.
So I have a rule. I create a specific list around major occasions, and normally it consists of orange juice or cash. And if the item, no matter how good or bad, does not fall on orange juice or cash, I will not even accept. That can go to someone else at the event.
Okay.
What if I give you a gift card? You're going to be conflicted. I could get both with this.
Gift card is heartless. No one buys gift cards. However, that is all of the spawn bag we have for you today. However, I do want to remind you about the Order Oceanic Valorant Open. We would like to announce the first Valorant Ignition Series presented by Logitech G. As the global Valorant Ignition Series gets underway, we're excited to announce the first of two massive Oceanic stops. The Order Oceanic Valorant Open, presented by Logitech G, promises an epic open format tournament with a 10,000 Australian dollar prize pool and a laser focus on developing the local community grassroots ecosystem. The tournament will field teams from a 3-round Swish format, open qualifier, designed for up to 1,024 teams from Australia and New Zealand. The open qualifier runs from the 3rd to 13th of July, from which the top 16 teams will duke it out through a double elimination group stage on the 17th to 19th of July. And single elimination best of 3 playoffs on 22nd to 25th in set sight on the grand final taking place on Sunday the 26th of July. All stages of the tournament will be streamed on Order's Twitch channel and will feature a diverse mix of best casting talent in Oceania. Community casters get involved, apply to cast games on their own channel. You will be provided with a custom asset pack, I promise, because I'm actually one of the people helping create it. This is pretty cool. The whole month of July, guys. Big tournament here for Valorant.
I think Rusty's actually going to be playing in it. The guy just, he's already in Diamond. It's Platinum, but I'm basically going to say it's Diamond. The guy gets top kills every game. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just get carried by this guy in casting and gaming too. It's great.
If the OPL's on that day, I may well be sick, Skibby. That's true.
You might be sick, exactly.
Just a couple of sick notes coming in.
If
However,
Rusty's
guys,
sick, you know who to call.
yeah, I will, Scoobs, actually. You're number 1 on speed dial at the moment. OPL Grand Final rematch. We're in Champion Select. One word, Rusty. Who wins? Legacy Direwolves.
Legacy.
Juves.
Legacy.
Skimmy.
Legacy.
Yeah, I'm also going Legacy this time. Macca's Champion Select coming your way.
Seeing Isles this week from Legacy. How do you think that matchup will go?
Like, he loves playing majors and all that kind of stuff, but I think he is a very good player though. Like, he can still play like all the champs basically. Should be a good match. I don't think we've beat Legacy in like a best of 1 this year, so hopefully he can get our first one versus Legacy.
Legacy is a good ADC.
Topoon from Legacy. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Topoon's quite a really talented laner, so versing him's always like a real challenge, and they give him 5 pick pretty much every game, so I think preparation will be the main thing against him. But I always learn a lot versing him, so I'm actually quite hyped.
What about Babu?
I think Babu's recently playing really good, so I'm actually so excited to verse him.
Up against Legacy, Tally in the mid lane. How's it going to go?
Well, Tally I think is like really skilled and talented as a like Cho'Gath player, so I really look up to his Cho'Gath a lot, and hopefully I can learn something this weekend.
Pete, get the coughs out of you. You're ready to bring the excitement, the hype, the drafts. It's just flying through once again. Quick stock check of what's important for me. Some things that have not changed is the targeting towards Tally there. His Ornn is gone. The Galio is gone as well. And a Kalista is a namestay between these two carries as well that they want to try and deny. But it doesn't seem to change the tune as a whole. Both lock in your bot lanes, both lock in your junglers. Looked at the battle of both Vital and Raze, but then the carries as well.
Yeah, they've gone for the Ezreal Lulu here actually on the Direwolf side, Skimmy. It's quite a curious start to the draft. Often you'll put the Lulu with like an Aphelios perhaps, or another AD carry that can be empowered and scale. And you know what? I jokingly said this last time, but maybe they want a top laner that can go with the Lulu this time. You know, something that can actually scale. Maybe it's a mid laner instead. We'll have to see. But I know Direwolves are the type of teams that may have that single pick up their sleeve. We'll wait to see exactly what that is, as Legacy do still have the counter pick. So keep that in mind. My theory then is whatever is picked 4th for Legacy will be the one that gets countered. Maybe works with a Lulu. We'll see. We'll see. I want a Darius.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on the grand finals that we had, right? It was a 3-1 victory that went in favor of Legacy. Topoon played GP twice, then that got banned away, then he went into the Vladimir. They've not targeted him. Always a tough order to go towards. Obviously, you can see Legacy have picked up 3 bans on Shock in particular. He's going to go for that Zoe. You give them any option, and that GP just springs to mind every time.
Yeah, now we did see this matchup yesterday if they choose to go for the Gangplank. It's not confirmed yet, but the Scion actually held his own decently well. Now that was, of course, Tien. Chippy's going to be playing the top lane in this game, and they are going to change it up here, Skippy. They're not going to go towards the Gangplank. They're going to go towards a Wukong. So a little bit more team fight strength that can come from that. Something that the last time we saw Chippy's play this pick, he went berserk on.
Oh, didn't he just? I mean, the guy was insane. The amount of creative angles he was able to find, the deep wards that allowed him to get behind the enemy, and just between himself and his clone and everything else, just locking up 3 people consistently every single time, made it very hard for the Mordekaiser to really break apart the CC train. It seems to me that's what Legacy are looking to try and bank on here. A ton of damage. You've got roots, you've got damage, and everything really comes together quite beautifully to make sure Raze finds optimum uptime with that bullet time.
Yeah, Legacy's comp is pretty straightforward, right? They've got Graves, a very high priority jungler. Lee Sin is kind of okay into him, has a lot of options, can do his own thing decently well. Smokescreen, of course, going to be a real pain in the bum, but he can work past that. So jungle's kind of just different in how they're going to play. You're looking at top lane, it's going to be a tank versus a carry champion. Some early pressure usually belongs to someone like a Wukong. There's going to be that mid-game plateau where Sion's resistances will come in, and you're like, well, I don't really hurt him anymore. But then you start to become team fighting, right? So Legacy's composition can successfully team fight. They can still split push on side lane though as well, right? With the Twisted Fate being there. And yesterday, we saw what can happen if they're able to set up in those side lanes, maybe look for 1-3-1s, maybe just plant Tally in a side lane himself and he can just 1-4. So that's what you'd expect to see from them. Where I do look at the Direwolves composition and I feel like it makes a degree of sense, but it's a little bit disjointed, right? Like, where does their consistent damage come from? I think most of that's going to come from a Zoe and Ezreal that need to hit their skill shots.
It's insanely skill shot orientated, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the most important thing here for Direwolves. They've decided to skill check the best team in the league, the most undefeated team that we've seen in quite some time.
Certainly have. Undefeated, sitting at 7-0. No team can chase them. Teams have tried to really push them to their limits, but they continue to showcase why they are your Split 1 champions. It's our final game of week number 4. It's a repeat of the Split 1 finals themselves. Direwolves on your left-hand side, Legacy on the right. The battle for the superior shade of the color green here, Rusty.
Yeah, I guess that's one way that you could look at it. Two different shades of green will be clashing on the green rift. Maybe we'll get an ocean in there as well, some more shades thrown about. Nevertheless, if you want to speak about shade, actually, Skimmy, that's maybe the first pre-game video we've seen from Direwolves where they're not throwing any themselves.
I'm so glad you picked up on that diverse word, how you could just flex into that video.
All respect was showed by Direwolves, right? That's maybe the first time we've seen that from them. They're ready to go. They're ready to do what they can against Legacy, but they know full well that they're playing against the best team in the league. So we'll see how this humbles Direwolves, if it affects the way that they play. Because the last time we saw them fully respect an opponent, they were slow.
Certainly were. So obviously let's expand on our point there from draft as to what we're looking at. As you said, Legacy definitely has some very strong engagement tools. Still going to have that global online, which we see they used to great success on multiple fronts, whether it be the GP, the Galio, or the Twisted Fate, to try and get these side lanes online. You look for Direwolves, they've obviously got a lot of diving threats, a lot of abilities that can connect to make sure that if Raze is locked in place, acting as a turret with his ultimate, he can get punished. But that is the caveat. It is the fact that they have to land those skill shots, and very much going to be dependent on if they can have that skill check, which, as it stands, hasn't always proved successful against the likes of Legacy.
You would say so far, everything kind of going to plan. You're looking at where these junglers are going first, and you can see it was a red side start from Mir, now moves towards his blue side of the map. Not going to take any of the other accessory camps on the way. Is going to go Grob to blue, and maybe look for the Scuttle Crab on top. So Babip goes for red, Raptors is now going to full clear his way most likely to that Scuttle Crab on the bottom side of the map. So we're split across the board here. It may be true that Chippies does need some assistance in the way of just support from Mir, just being in the area to keep his lane neutral or close enough to. Would be nice until that first reset comes across, like we've discussed before, where Wukong can get at least a little bit more neutralized than he currently is at level 1. And mid lane having the push for the Zoe at the start. Starts to swing back the other way. Everything pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, and I want to touch on the point you brought up about the Lulu. Would there be enough carries, would there be enough characters, really, to make it find value? We're looking at here, right, obviously, there's some very key targets that she can look to try and polymorph, take out, remove from that fight, but also some that they can try and empower, have some backline access, and look to catch out.
Yeah, and so Lulu will hit a point in mid-game where she's just super squishy, right? Tends to go for no health in her item build. Just is usually just about empowering allies. If you go for an Ardent Sensor, which is the stand in that build, you want an AD carry that can utilize that the best, or a laner that could utilize that the best, right? So maybe it's an Azir in mid lane as an example that could work with it. And then you've got the ultimate. So that's the second part of the combo, which is why I keep saying Darius. Because you can have a Darius just like get sped up, sprint in there, and then you ult the person while Darius gets stacks. So there's two ways you can play it. And I feel like Direwolves have gone for kind of none of that in their draft overall. You've got at least in that you could Lulu ult, but that doesn't sound ideal. And you've got an Ezreal that you could give an Ardent Sensor to, but he's a Spell Weaver a lot of the time, so it's not exactly the perfect combo either. So it is a little bit disjointed here, where that Lulu fits in. And my main concern is we hit mid-game, and it's what does the Lulu do when she's really fragile and doesn't have that hyper carry to stand behind.
And it adds to obviously the fact that Direwolves are very much a burst composition. That Ardent Center no doubt looking to try and give them a bit of sustain to patch up some of the weaknesses there, and with the Azir being banned away, wasn't an option here. Legacy read that one like a book, hence why the Zoe is here. Obviously we'll have a ton of damage if things do connect, and we'll be looking for some key targets. We'll be looking for hopefully Legacy, or in particular Rage, to try and overstep, but he does have the cleanse, so should be well protected by the rest of his team.
Really trying to get everything they can out of this bottom lane when they push this one in. They'll get the teleport out of Vital as well. Direwolves running 3 teleports, by the way, to the Cleanse of Raze, one of the key differences in some of the spells that we're seeing in this one. Raze definitely not wanting to get caught, but if you're looking at things that he can cleanse, that is actually quite limiting. You know, maybe one of those games where you'd wish you have a barrier, but you've got a Yuumi anyway, so you run the cleanse to be safe, and Zoe's the one major threat that exists. Also completely alleviates any kind of QSS necessities in the build.
Certainly. It's going to be Vital using that pickaxe. The item advantage to great effect to try and continue to see us effectively underneath this turret. He's been pushed against it for the most part, down by half a wave.
And we have to actually... So we're 5 minutes in, right? And we haven't had any action across the board. We've just had junglers clearing their camps. Mir, if you do want to take note of the Lee Sin here, has actually spent a decent amount of time kind of hovering areas before going for camps, and a little bit after camps maybe as well, just to make sure things are going smoothly for his lanes. Yeah. He's behind. He is 14 jungle CS behind right now. He's about to have his raptors stolen away from under his nose. That Scuttle Crab's about to spawn on the correct side of the map as well, so Babip well and truly in the driver's seat, just from jungling very well.
Swings a little bit to how Split 2 opened up. It was very, very quiet to start off that game. I don't think we saw really any action happen until 11 minutes when that first blood came online. Seems to be the case for these top 3, top 4 teams when they go toe-to-toe against each other. It's not so much about getting lane dominance, more about what can they find with cleaner rotation, stronger macro, better understanding of what is important to get themselves online. That could be structure, that could be items, that could be levels, but that could be objectives. As Mirror will steal away that dragon right underneath Legacy's nose.
Fucking ults. Lots of damage, I guess, trying to be put into top lane, but it's not going to have too much of an impact up there. That was a teleport that he's gone from top lane, but not from Chippies. So maybe a part of that was trying to have some presence in that top lane to stop it. When we look back towards the Drake, that was a smite from the Zoe as well, as Mir in trouble.
He's in so much trouble, forced to flash away, receives the Summoning Hill now. A gold card lands on the Lulu instead.
Chippies is here.
Chippies is here now, make that a 4v2. They find Babbitt, they punish him, they get first blood. The crab emotes go out, they're dancing, they're having fun, and mid laners are getting in on the action.
Yeah, so Tally's obviously going to get there faster, being the Twisted Fate, but it's on the Direwolves side of the map. It's in their jungle, so they have the numbers eventually, and they're able to get the 2 kills. Legacy, I mean, that was very aggressive from Babip, and he knows that he can take the 1v1 at 6-5. He even gets the auto attacks off, but the Lulu's here. The heal comes out. They're going to keep him alive, and then Chippies is ready. Remember, teleport advantage, we just discussed it was available there for top laners. So Legacy going for this play, you'd feel like should have been aware that they would have been trading. But they're lucky to get the 1 kill at all, you know? Mir almost survives the whole time.
He committed fully to that fight, ensuring that they would find an advantage, gets himself 2 assists, and looks to try and bridge the gap that is found from the camp clear advantage. Babip has achieved it already. But a little opportunity like that is just what they're after, to keep that goal in touching distance and allow themselves to find win conditions in these skill shot champions. That will be with the Israel and the Zoe now. Finding themselves a very small advantage.
So that'll be good. After that, probably after the blue buff. We'll see, he actually has to give the blue. I thought that would hit him to 6. Either way, the one thing that I wanted to point out with that Skimmy is that there is an extra level in Babip's way. So even though that was a kill being given over to Direwolves, 2 obviously in the end, still a massive jungle advantage to be considered.
Correct. You could see him use his ultimate to great effect there to pad their health bars down to start things off. Level 6 is there now. So the roundhouse kick is very much possible for them to try and deny a potential steal that Legacy may be attempting, but Babip is nowhere near. He's in mid lane. Tapoon is scouting out the information, but he's going to get jumped upon again. The damage very much relevant here, as Shock reminds him what a Zoe can do.
Yeah, no ultimate there for Chippies. May have been a difference maker potentially in finding the kill. Nevertheless, Babip survives. Still has his flashback now as well, so at least he doesn't go down. And everything will continue to farm as normal. Still some very good signs of life in the Direwolves roster as Legacy. They are being punished. Ah, Vital, that was really rude. Took the cannon away from Decoy. Got 2 stacks.
Tax.
You can tell what role. That's not tax. That's
I'm just gonna chuck it out there. If in doubt, call it tax.
That is not tax. That's just me.
It's like your meme. I'm not sure if it's still your pinned tweet. Hey, you gonna let me take that cannon, or we're gonna have a problem here, buddy?
Oh, we've got a problem right now, don't we? You can tell what role I play, Skimmy.
Certainly can. Well, regardless though, it will still be Misfortune that finds success. Been quite vacant in the ADC meta. We talked about it, I believe, a little bit yesterday as to how the meta changed with bruisers being so much of the focus, with teams drafting, for the most part, usually 2 or 3, and the diving threat meaning that a lot of their kit just wasn't able to find much effect.
Got that cannon. We're all good. We do have a lot of engaged threat. We do have a lot of team fight threat available here for both teams in different ways. It's not a conventional front-to-back composition of Direwolves by any means. We'll hold that.
Okay. Out goes the exhaust. Now he goes to sleep. He's in trouble. The gold card's not going to help him here, as Babip can only come to the scene of the crime just a little bit too late. And this could be now Direwolves trying to break through and open up our first turret of the game. He's got the Heralds, and they're going to achieve a ton of plates.
Yeah, they'll actually summon the Herald here right in the face of Babip as well. It'll get out just a little bit too late, unfortunately. The minions already died, but the charge... Oh, it didn't get off at all. Yeah, that was very disrespectful from the Direwolves.
That's catastrophic.
That's not... Yeah, that's just not good enough with the sub, and he'll be pretty disappointed with that one. The idea was sound it would have been a couple more plates, maybe closer to getting the turret, but here we are.
No.
Now
That's what
in
they were
trouble.
banking on, to try and get themselves a bit of a lead. Now, what can Legacy find on the top side? Can they punish? This time they can. They get Vital taken out of the situation based on the fact that Decoy roamed through to mids. Dragon soon to spawn. Tally is back, and give Raze a few kills. We know what he can do.
How does all of this come out of nowhere? Things were looking fine for the Direwolves, and then suddenly 2 little mistakes like that back to back, that really hurts your perceptions on how they're going so far in this game, doesn't it? You know, Babip's still very much ahead in the jungle role. Now they've got a kill into the pocket of Raze on Vital, who's stayed by himself. Now this Drake is up. If they can steal the Drake, they'll still definitely have a win condition for themselves, but lots of little mistakes happening.
They're not going to go for this one. They are going to concede it. Classic Legacy giving away 2, even though they are the ones that start things off. Needless to say, it's not as classic as we have come to know, but they have invested heavily in let's get these plates. 12 minutes in, a couple minutes left. Let's make sure this is working in our favor. Tapoon, mind you, was actually in the area, but recalling at the time. So just trying to draw Direwolves' attention elsewhere on the map.
Lots of harass just trying to be thrown onto Vital here. He's holding okay in the 1v2, but plates will consistently fall if he doesn't get any more reinforcement. So you can see the Lulu now has to come back to the lane to help Vital out. Rightly so. Means, you know, Decoy trying to be active around the map to help his team out as much as he can, but the side effect of that is going to be a big Misfortune, who's currently out of mana, which is why they're playing so aggressively at this time.
So as both showcase what the damage output is like. Exhaust goes out and that nullifies so much of the damage that True Shot Barrage is hoping to achieve. That's not a kill they can get. Raze is still zoned out, mind you. Yumi has to de-attach, go to Tally instead, who jumps on in with his ultimate. Everybody at 30 minutes suddenly shows up to the top side, but they will get out scot-free.
Yeah, lots of members start to rotate up here, and at first thought, you're like, what exactly is Raze doing taking this fight? You know, he has no mana, but it's because the reinforcements were working their way into the area that this were to happen at all. Vital.
Lands, Ignite goes out, Wild Growth instantly the response, being in so much trouble, receives the Summoner Heal Shield as well. Summoner's having to be burnt here to ensure that no member falls on down. Both teams still testing each other's limits.
Welcome to mid lane, Raze. Here is your tax, most of your health. Shock. Going to play very forward.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to mid lane, Isles. That is your tax. Who's
Tax
next?
keyword of the day. That's with magic resistance as well, mind you, with the Chalice. Still getting absolutely shredded. And that's Zoe only on a lost chapter. Can't be too far away there from getting the Ludens, given the fact that the Blasting Wander's there. A little bit more gold, and becomes a little bit scary. It sort of comes back to our analysis as to, yes, whilst it is very skill shot pick orientated, if they can find it, however,
yeah,
turn things around.
I mean, absolutely. You hit your spells, suddenly your composition does a lot more damage than most would expect from that. The Zoe is absolutely at a point where she can just wreak havoc around Summoner's Rift. Level 11, completed item, Sork Shoes there, so dealing close to the maximum damage you'll start to see from her in a game of League. And at a point where Tally doesn't have ult, doesn't have teleport, really starting to come into his own potentially here is Shock. It's Top Moon.
Top Moon is flirting with danger. Chippy's shown the door as he dances around and gets himself out, but his health bar is certainly crippled as he's opted for the Tiamat into Trinity Rush as opposed to the Bladed Rune King.
Did keep everything though. So still has the flash, still has the ultimate, and of course both of them are having teleports. So that is just an ultimate advantage if they were to group up and look for some kind of fight. Speaking of, a lot of skirmishing happening near the top side tri-bush where Babip is hovering completely unnoticed. Dangerous positioning for Decoy right now. He does have Mir waiting in the wings, hitting that Herald. This is basically a Shock difference moment, because Shock is so strong. Fighting this is so dangerous if they have the vision control set up first, and they do.
Certainly do. Firewalls with the river control, the vision control, and everything and more. Will keep Legacy locked in their lanes, force them to farm as they concede another objective in their favor. That's 2 Dragons and 2 Heralds. This one, you hope to see find just a little bit more value than the first.
To say, it has been pretty quiet overall considering the action that we saw pretty early into this piece. You know, a lot of little skirmishes happening left, right, and center, but nothing coordinated happening in an attempt to take someone down. I feel like in 50 seconds with the Ocean Drake being available, that's Drake number 3 for Direwolves if they snag that. Soul Point obviously would be online for them then. I think that is a point that they would want to consider contesting here, Legacy. They just got that first turret, as you could see, a lot of money into the pockets of Raze, and good timing on his reset as well. So I think they're definitely in a position where they want to look to maybe stop Direwolves from having the one condition that would be a free win for them, right? Because they're still ahead in gold, Legacy. They're still doing very well for themselves. They're comfortable in this game. You just don't want to give that extra needless thing into the hands of Direwolves to create volatility in a steady game.
And I think if the vision favours Direwolves, their ability to retake objectives is supreme, right? Obviously, they can fling out skill shots from afar and bully Legacy off if they are the first to go to the likes of a Baron or contest an Ocean Soul. So, situation is to how do they handle this one? A little bit fragile, you feel, at this stage. Yet to see Legacy's come together as a full 5-man unit. They're respecting the early and mid-game strength that Direwolves has as they summon that second Herald on the doorstep of the fact that the Ocean Drake is now available.
Babip.
They want to connect, they find the pick, that's what their comp is built to do. He flashes on out, but it's too little too late. Tapoon is the one that spins to win, unlocking the final chapter, but he's looking for damage where it's all. He jumps on off, gets the shield, gets back on out. Bonnet time takes 2 to the grave. They are so damn low, but Mid gets out, however. Raze is quite healthy at this stage, but does not have the ultimate. Has the cleanse, and Flash will be up in 10 seconds as the Dragon fight continues.
Yeah, they're going to see if they can get maybe a trouble bubble on someone, lock them down. This contest from Legacy is entirely possible. See how they play this out. Just, oh no,
Isles is dead. He's gone to sleep, he's being knocked up, he can't jump, he can't couple with somebody now. It's all about these 2 carries. Can they go absolutely huge? Raze flashing forward, can't find the kill. Toonstone Slip can't get that one, and cleanses and falls on down. Sees everybody's health bars so damn low. They all get out. It's the great escape.
That's crazy, yeah. Direwolves barely disengage with their lives. Now they will not get themselves the Ocean Drake. But that was still a big victory there for Direwolves overall. An abundance of kills going to their pockets. It was a 2,000 gold difference in favor of Legacy. That's completely gone. And they'll get the Ocean Drake, so they will buy some time. They'll remove a win condition. But a fantastic little moment there from Direwolves. The fact that they all survive with 0 HP to their name is best case scenario. Babip, slowed by the Ocean Drake. Watch this kick into a Psyod ultimate. They have just bullied Babip out of existence. And honestly, Topu just playing very well with Isles at this moment to do as much as they can to stay alive for as long as they can. They make that work somehow. And that's the moment where you're like, okay, this was a fairly even trade overall, even though it was a 2-for-1, because no one of Direwolves has HP. Jippies decides, I'm not going to waste my flash to get over here. And everything seems okay for Legacy to step forward and consider contesting this until Isles cops a beating from what I think is a bubble over the wall here and a Scion Q at the same time as he tries to ward the back bush and go straight into a Scion Q. So, I mean, unfortunate. Raised, his auto attack gets cancelled by the lack of vision. His ward just missed the bush. And look at the health bars of Direwolves. There was the smallest of details away from getting more kills there and not just losing his life raise, and he'll be disappointed about that.
Certainly will be. He saw a quadra kill appear on his screen, just unable to find it, and unfortunately for them, Direwolves were able to emit their style of play on their opposition. They played based off cooldowns, right? They had these poking engage tools, and they were able to continue to fling them out from afar. And despite Legacy, all things considered, getting the respawn on Babip to get themselves the dragon, you have to say they play to what their comp is built to do.
I mean, they're poised to continue to make picks now, Direwolves have found themselves some momentum in this game. Definitely something they can continue to ride with. They've got a Scion that is ultimately going to be quite unkillable from this point onwards. Twisted Fate, the one real massive threat on him is he has got the armor stack that there's only one magic damage source on the side of Legacy. Unless Isles continues to buy that AP, of course, quietly achieves. Maybe not against the tank, though. This game, to me, is all about Raze, to be honest. Can he manage to win the big team fights? Can he position well? Does he have Isles working with him? There are factors to consider, but my eyes always go to Raze.
Yeah, you can see at this stage of the game, both AD carries having their 2-item spikes ready and waiting to be used in the next team fight. If we can get a cohesive fight where everybody gets locked in place and the bullet time comes on through, definitely would favour them. You can see that they were fighting 2 different fights in that river leading into the dragon play. But I'm still so terrified of this Zoe. Now Shock 3-0-2, continues to stack up his Dark Seal. He's doing a ton of damage, and with all the CC that they have, they continue to be given these opportunities where they can cycle through it. Yeah. The tempo favours them.
I mean, they're pretty much equipped to go here, Direwolves. Not just the Zoe, but they've just picked up the Executioner's Calling on the Ezreal. He has got his Muramana done as well as the Iceborne Gauntlet. So that's his 2-item spike. He's got the red buff as well. They're poised to control this map outright with the strength that they have. What they're missing is the Death Cap for Zoe. Once that one is on, they'll be huge. A Black Cleaver for the Lee Sin will be okay. Ezreal's going to be the one major benefactor from it. It's the cooldown that I think Mir will be very happy about having. And like mentioned, this Scion is just huge. There's not a lot that we'll be able to deal with him right now. In Legacy, I think this comes back to a point that we made in draft. I don't think they want to sit here and say we take the 5v5s at this point in the game. I think they plant their feet in some side lanes and try and run Direwolves ragged by making them run around.
Seems flashbacks to yesterday as to losing map control, losing an understanding as to how we can actually try and force these fights on a 5v5 front and just playing the macro game or splitting those lanes apart. They've gone obviously for the big pale spike between the Twisted Fate and the Wukong, with the Lich Bane and the Trinity Force now coming online. Nice little power spike for those two to start to work with, but as you highlight, their Chippy's now evolving into the Thornmail. Must have upwards of 200 plus armor.
Yeah, he's an absolute unit. It's going to be quite a nightmare to deal with if you're all the physical damage there on the side of Legacy, and there's a lot of it.
There is, certainly.
Got Isles playing some little hop, skip, and jump around all of his allies, kind of needlessly, having a good time with himself, though. Zoe has also just quietly achieved 2 side lane turrets. The outers have now been broken by Direwolves. Still gold even, though, overall, when you're comparing both of these teams. Ooh.
2 auto attacks, 2 mystic shots, and Raze is completely zoned out.
Oh, no.
Doesn't have any life still at this stage of the game. That's Babbitt going to be looking to disengage away, using his ultimate as a deterrent, as Vital responds by keeping up the mid lane pressure. Reason being, the dragon has spawned. Legacy have done a good job, obviously denying the dragon from previously, and that won't be a soul that they are threatened with, and the Destiny will now be used to try and get some vision as to, can we find a pick? Can we catch somebody out in the rotation? But Vital has a nimble feet, gets himself out, flashes away. Now he goes golden, looking to try and survive for as long as possible. As soon as he comes out, he might be in trouble, but he flashes out of that bubble. It's not going to be a bubble bath. They are not having fun just yet. Still, everybody healthy and alive. The dragon won't be as clear-cut as it appeared
Yeah, just a couple of bath bombs being thrown at Legacy, but they're not going to be able to find the kills. Topoon on the bot side of the map was hunting for Mir. It was a Zoe, that put the bubble onto Yumi, so it's not going to actually mean anything. She just attaches herself to the limbs of an ally, and things continue as per normal. Once again, we've got the Drake, but there's no Scion ultimate. It's a poke battle. If Zoe hits a bubble, things could be on, but look at Topoon.
Yeah.
He has a massive flank position if he's able to find this.
Out. He's going to look to try and do it right now. Spins onto 2. Instantly gets locked in place there by the Polymorph. Knocks up 2 again. Do they have the damage to try and connect with it? The bullet time went out, but it didn't do much to really pad their health bars down low. The Dragon continues regardless. Can they get the skill? Yes, they can. Vital secures it. And a kill to good measure as well. A win on all fronts, and that gives them all the confidence in the world to flash forward aggressively and hunt down these targets as Raze is forced to burn that flash and live to fight another day.
That was... I feel like Ezreal's managed to steal that against the smite of Babip as well. Mir wasn't in the pit. He didn't use his smite in the Drake pit for the trade. He used it shortly afterwards, I believe, back towards his camps. That's crazy that's the outcome of this. Right now we're at a soul point for Direwolves. They are well and truly in control of this game in 4 minutes' time. Legacy now need to really try and find themselves. They're staring down the barrel of what is potentially their first loss. And I'm very sick of saying that because they keep winning from these positions. But this one feels like it's genuinely possible. With how big this Zoe is, you really need to be careful, Legacy, around getting control around the map. But at the end of the day, their composition is still outstanding. They still have a huge misfortune to work with, even though the flash has been removed. The Twisted Fates hit the 2-item spike as well as the 10 stacks on the Rod of Ages. They've got a lot going for them. Direwolves have slowed down a lot. And my fear with that is they're so reliant on the Zoe being there to work with the Ezreal if they want to get kills more than just damage. But right now, Zoe's been stuck with the side lanes that Tally's been setting up.
He certainly has. They've been trying to keep Direwolves separated so they can find pick targets to try and get a numbers advantage so they can actually look at those team fights being a very real possibility. Both AD carries playing out of their minds so far. Definitely farming above 10 CS per minute, setting the standard for what is necessary at this level of play. I find it very hard now for Legacy to achieve the map control that is required for them to be the first ones to the objective. We talked about Direwolves having a great retake ability. Well, they can be the ones first to the objective and then be the ones to prevent Legacy actually even coming on in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty hard life to be Babip right now, let alone working with Isles to try and get some vision themselves. There's just a threat behind every corner. That's something that they're going to have to constantly work against the grain with to make it happen. Direwolves, we mentioned in 2 minutes they'll have a lot of control around Summoner's Rift because of the soul point being there. But even now, you know, you look at the vision control that they've got. 3 control wards, they've got the triangle of vision set up around the Baron buff itself. TF's coming in.
I want to try and find a pick once again. Decoy on the retreat. He's going to be the one that gets Polymorph and Sally looking to try to force this fight. It's the attention that gets drawn into that river that finds the kill eventually. Lee Sin falls on down. And it's the pick that Legacy have been hunting for all game long. Unfortunately for them, not going to be at a time when an objective can be capitalized upon. Baron be still far too risky.
Yeah, just hunting Legacy. They'll take the 1 pick, though. It's going to be nice to have it. Of course, the teleport's now going to come in towards the mid lane from Vital, fresh off his shop for a Death's Dance. And once again, things still going well for Direwolves, even considering that pick that just came across. Mir goes down, yes. But like you mentioned, there's no objective they're going to do straight away. He still keeps his flash, and he's still going to be full power for when the major objectives come up to be contested for both of these teams. So things just kind of reset, and they'll take the money.
Scion is an immovable object, but now the same can be said here for Vital. As a result of that luxury item, will be sitting on a ton of armor himself. Nimble, effective, skill shot landing, very hard to kill as well, and it's been really the story of this game for Direwolves has been their quick feet and ability to juggle the aggro, put bodies in front of them to take the damage as a result. Everybody's health bars are flashing red and low, but nobody falls on down as a result, and puts Legacy in a situation as to there's no questioning their mental resolve. They've been in situations like this numerous times already in Split 2. They have been pushed, they have been tested, but how many times have we seen them get that all-important Baron, stabilize, and use it as what we call the equalizing play?
A few too many times, to say the least. We are also at a point where I feel like, and if we take a full 5v5 status check, there is one thing that does stand out. We've mentioned this a couple of times, and that is how tanky Chibis is. When you look at the other side of the map, it's actually all about the heals. Hold that.
Hold that for a second, because they're going to coordinate that beautifully. There's going to be the cycle into the bullet time to try and lock up two of the key targets. Can they find these picks? They can! One shutdown, can they find a second mid? It's going to go away, and it does not! Collateral damage comes out. Babip shows up when it matters. He has been so damn annoyed all game long, but now it comes at a fantastic moment. 30 seconds on the respawn time is this time, Rusty. There is an objective to consider.
Yeah, they should just be able to take the Ocean Drake. You look at what can contest it, you'd need a smite on a Zoe. That'd be your best case scenario. Is running the unsealed spellbook, but I don't think that's something they're even going to look at whatsoever. Direwolves, they'll have to just tail between their legs, walk away from that skirmish, and it was Legacy that started once again. That's back-to-back skirmishes, Skimmy, that they've looked at, and back-to-back skirmishes they've been successful in finding those kills for. And while they don't have a tank, what they do have is engage. There's a Wukong that starts this up. They have fantastic AoE damage as well, as the two members that aren't a tank will fall down from Direwolves. Fantastic Grave Ult this time from Babip. He was missing them last week with an odd consistency, but this week he's on the mark.
Certainly is. The ability to come together and to say, this is our moment. They link up the ultimates of Wukong and Misfortune beautifully, and they cause basically sheer panic and Vital. He fails to flash, then blinks across overwards, and R2 connects there with the Cyclone. Everything coming together so well orchestrated, and these are the moments that Legacy are going to continue to hunt for to try and give themselves a fighting chance to come back into this one. A second Dragon now favors them, 2 Oceans to their name. The Executioners, the Fawn Males, you name it, they become even more invaluable as the game goes by.
Here's the thing, right? Like, the composition that Legacy have is just, the later this game goes, the stronger they seem to become against their opponents. You know, they do have a really hard to deal with 3 stack in mid lane that can just wave clear of its own accord, and you can't really take them down. Telecleanse just a cycle to his flash, by the way. And then they have a Twisted Fate that can go side lane. They have a Wukong that can go to a side lane, and if you don't send 2 people to deal with them, a turret falls wherever you're not. They have incredible damage to structures.
They certainly do. Tiamat's obviously going to very much help to boom there on Wukong duties, but Raze has now got himself a very nice power spike that allows him to, in a way, become as nimble as the Ezreal. The rapid fire cannon's going to do a lot to try and bridge that gap and keep himself protected. He's so vulnerable to the skill shots that will continue to fling on out.
I just worry that they've done this a little bit too late, Direwolves. You know, they had a massive Zoe. They were in a, like, and it's not like Zoe's gotten weaker, but they're in a position, or they were rather, in a position where I feel like they could have played with their lead a little bit more. It wasn't a strict gold advantage, but the Zoe was so fair. You know, the Ezreal had hit that really cheap power spike. I just wanted to see more of them together, but this is, you know, it's class from Legacy to force them into side waves, and it is a byproduct of the draft. We do still have Direwolves grouping up now. We'll see if they'll be able to break this turret.
Against Wonder, will Legacy look to try and pull the objective, try to force the fight, given the fact that Vital has no flash, or will they wait? Because they've got all their summoners up and available, except for Taboon's flash. That was so important in starting off that engage, making it favorable for them. We'll see 2 minutes on that next Ocean Dragon. Baron's still a very much distant afterthought, as both teams can feel how much of a throw it potentially represents.
They'll have enough damage to take it down for certain. It's very risky to walk up to it, however. The other team is prepared to deal with you. That's just a giant throw pit. No one wants to Dignitas. No way through this one. Nevertheless, it has hit that point, right? You don't want to give a 4 Ocean Drake, Ocean Soul to any team to ever exist. Giving 3 Ocean Drakes in a row is already bad enough. Especially with a team that has a Yuumi for heals, has the Wukong that Graves with their Death's Dance as well. I mean, that's just gross. So things do start to have to really ramp up here. If you were Direwolves. A bit more pressure to be thrown around the rift.
Yeah, definitely have slowed down a fair bit from what was them forcing the pressure around the map. Zoe getting 2 turrets, as you highlighted only moments before, and stalling on out really for these monsters to try and continue their pressure. They've been playing for it, but every single time Legacy are the ones that turn things around just when you think it's not against them, not in their favor.
Well, I mean,
back with 2 dragons.
Let's look at it objectively, right? What is it the Direwolves can do? Like, what does their composition do? If Ezreal is hitting spells and if Zoe is hitting spells, they're an obnoxious team comp, right? They have crazy damage. But if Legacy are going at them and the spells aren't being able to be thrown out, kiting's not possible, then it's a pretty rough composition to play.
Yeah.
Legacy are just so good at closing that distance with their comp as they tried to find Babip, he just casually walks through.
He's sidestepping everything. He will finally go Drowsy. Actually, no, it will be Isles, but fantastic utilization there to jump on and basically cancel that out completely.
That felt real easy, didn't it? It
Certainly
just
did.
casually dodges out on all of it.
Flash is back up and available for everybody now. 20 seconds. Potential Ocean Soul. Drowsy again. They don't have a Mikhail's, but Decoy definitely does.
That was a Graves ultimate, at least, that was used there. Tally's going to look for the gold card. We're looking for a bubble. We're looking for the Ezreal spells to hit. They need to. Their composition just doesn't feel as straightforward and cohesive, and it's so reliant on them either being better than their opponents or outplaying them with their skill shots. It's easier said than done. Top win's been revealed.
He has been indeed revealed. Now it's going to be the Destiny. Now he's going to look to try and go for the R2 of his ultimate. He gets polymorph. He's going to finally get it off before he goes to a sleep. And the rest of his team's going to try and jump on into this fight, trying to get a winning fight for them. He survives. He receives the heal and raise. Orders him across the wall. It travels as the flash goes forwards. Chippy's doing whatever he can to try and be a threat in this. And it's just not going to be enough. Legacy get the third Ocean Dragon. They are slippery in their nature. Vital finally finds their kill. And it is the battle of the AD carries as Flash gets used and skill shots lands. Both exerting pressure.
It's
both
just bottom lanes left.
The banner of hope. The bot Juro locked him straight away. He two-tapped the Lulu, but does not matter.
Ooh, we got a quadra.
It does not matter. Ezreal is massive. The Scion clone comes in clutch. He gets himself a quadra and the ace.
And you know what he can do with that, Skibby? Absolutely nothing. He's going to maybe walk over to the Baron. They have a couple of teleports up in 20 seconds. Mir's alive right now, so he may even start this Baron after doing the Scuttle Crab. But it's not going to be very simple. We'll see how they choose to play this one out. I mean, we said it was just the bottom lane alive. It was so much more than that one. There was a Scion that after death did so much damage.
Yeah.
That was a genuine difference maker in that one. You can see the Ezreal, the amount of healing that he does. He's able to sustain himself, no problem. Teleports will come in. They should get this one. Unless Tally pulls out a Miracle Steal, and he does have Smite.
He does. He's chosen Smite as the option for this one. Whenever Flash, however, it's going to be a little bit tougher to try and get into that pit. Not to mention the amount of skill shots these three in particular possess. Not going to go for it. Direwolves will get themselves the Baron.
That was a wild fight. And it started with an Ocean Drake revealing Topood in this very compromised position. And I do hope we'll get to see a replay of that one. Just because it was, like, the amount of pressure that Raze had by himself was unbelievable. And it just became this awesome battle of which AD carrier can do the most damage the fastest.
Both AD carriers, as you can see, they're sitting on 17,000 gold. Nearing full items, 400 CS for the Misfortune. That's why Raze is so well regarded. The guy is insane, but Vital is definitely giving him a run for his money after that last team fight performance, both showcasing what bot lanes look like, why they are so keen to prioritize their picks in the first rotation during the draft itself.
So they're pretty much all grouped up in bottom lane now. 4 members have basically showed themselves at the bot lane tri-bush. So Legacy will see that and say, okay, straight down mid lane, slow them down to a halt for this Baron push. You can see that Direwolves are responding by staying in bottom lane. So this is a 1-lane push from them right now. So you might get an inner turret. If they're feeling real frisky, they'll stick to the 1 lane and try and threaten an inhibitor from it. But we'll see how they play this one out, because ultimately, Direwolves has said, throw wave setup out the window. Let's just push it in bottom lane until it works. And it's not working.
They were looking for the pick. Zoe was on a very deep rotation, and you see the Destiny coming out there from Tally as to, can we maybe find a pick and catch up the fact that Chippy's distracted mid as well? Not to be the case. Direwolves will finally get the turret. Not much left longer on this Baron buff, and it hasn't changed the gold lead or the outcome much at this stage of the game.
And you know, I'm starting to lose my confidence in Legacy just a little bit. Not in this game, but in general. Because this is, what, 4 games in a row where it hasn't been a clean game from our undefeated team in the OPL. They have been pushed to their limits a lot.
Yeah.
This is another version of that. It's happened in a different way. They're still very much capable of winning this one, as they were the last 3 that they won. But this is not the Legacy that won the split. Definitely not the Legacy that we saw even in week 1. So we'll see if they can still pull it together, go back to their late game team fighting, and one of the biggest strengths that they definitely have always had for themselves. They've got Raze, they've got the self-professed perfect player from years ago, of course, when we joke about that one.
But do you think, I mean, are there any thoughts in your mind circulating at this stage as to, perhaps why Legacy find themselves in a position like this in the last few games?
It doesn't feel like something very base level, Like, it's not a glaring weakness, I don't think. It's interesting. I don't know exactly what I would say it is. I am very curious to see, because they haven't lost with it, right? So it doesn't seem like this is the thing that they lost from, because they always find themselves back into it. But a lot of it does seem to happen from 10 to 20 minutes. So you would be pretty pressed to say it is mid-game related.
See what happens. The Baron buff has now expired. The gold lead has not shifted one bit here, Rusty, but one thing that will definitely make these teams fight to the death.
Oh yeah, this is Soul Point.
Soul Point is very real, very possible for both these teams. And Legacy, if they get this, 4 Ocean Dragons in succession would be absolutely out of this world.
Tally will most likely use that gate to get closer to his team. He just wanted to reveal where they were first. Topoon engaging.
Topoon jumps going to go in, looking for Tyclone. Mir is out of the fight. Gia gets popped. Now Chibi's the focus. He's going to take so much damage here from Raze. Actually, hang on a minute. He has so much armor, so who cares? Forget that fall. Mir in trouble. Going to fall on down. Those are 2 kills. Make that 3 kills. The battle of the AD carries once again proving to be the highlight of this match. What happens to Legacy? Why are they here? Who cares? It's endgame. This is what we do. We've got 4 Ocean Dragons. You're wiped. Your respawn times are so long. That's the ace. That's the game. End the stream.
Yeah, that should just be the game, right, Skippy? They've got the teleport straight in the mid lane. They've got the wave set up already before the fight happened. And once again, Legacy, they keep pulling rabbits out of hats. They'll hit their late game team fighting. They'll hit their stride as a 5-man unit. And once again, they will stay undefeated.
Certainly will. Very much looking forward to what their opinions on social media will be after this one, but that is absolutely out of this world. One fight to determine it, one fight to decide it, and that will be Legacy remaining still undefeated, closing out week 4.
And I mean, a lot of this was Topoon having engaged for the team. Legacy with absolute confidence, just no hesitation, looking for their opportunities to engage and having it ready. That was one of the biggest differences between both of these teams in that one. And it is easy to do as a Wukong compared to a Sion, So that is something that's definitely set up from them in draft. And props to Legacy for finding those team fights, but still, as always, at this point, push to their limits.
Push the limits, were able to find that fight and expose the weakness. One of the glaring weaknesses you said with the draft of Direwolves. They can't do anything if they're forced to run away. They can have the skill shots, but if they're dead, if they're on the back foot, it does not mean anything. Juice, you come into that game there, you look at another situation where the boys get pushed and you think, okay, Legacy, why are they in this sort of state right now, do you think?
Just sloppy early games. Like I was talking to Jake, off air about this, and I said, I think, just go on the record and say, I think Babip has had an extremely good end of the first split, and I think he started extremely well, but I think Babip is not necessarily slumping, but he's having some poor early games, right? Like, it's not the Babip we're used to seeing where he's setting the pace, setting the tempo. It feels like he's a little content with letting the game play out and being the reactionary player when I know Babip to be more of the aggressor, and it just seems like Mia had a very good early game. Got a lot of stuff done, but Legacy, as we see week on week, they're able to just default to, okay, we're slightly behind. We'll just win the game in a 5v5 team fight at Dragon. Jake, we were talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that we were saying was, if this was the LPL, you would take the Direwolf comp every day of the week. But we don't play in the LPL. We play in the OPL. And we were talking about the idea that it is not a good tactic to wait for your opponent to make a mistake, but Jews, when people do make mistakes against Legacy, they just put the game away.
Yeah, I mean, how many times? I think if Direwolves were in this position against any other team in the league, they win that game hands down, straight away. They probably get Soul really early on and it's over. But for some reason, Tally just finds backline access. Yuumi and Graves find access onto Vital, and Vital's just left 1v3 in so many team fights. And sometimes you have to look back and think, how are they even in this position? Like this, how did they get backline access? But Legacy just fight, they stay calm, and they just managed to find a way. And I wish I had more of an analysis for you because I'd have to go back and watch the VOD.
Yeah. It was a very scrappy game, Rusty, but you got to credit Direwolves. They were in a lot of control that game, and they maybe could have had a different result if a couple of late game team fights went a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not to discredit Direwolves to say that Legacy keep pulling this out, right? And I think to Ju's point, a lot of this may just be the fact that, and it's weird to say this against Direwolves, by the way, but Legacy just have so much experience in the hands of the players, you know, when it comes to the clutch decisions. It's not that Direwolves don't have it, but you could see a clear difference in the calm, measured play coming out of a lot of the team fight players in Legacy.
And as I always do, when it's not happening on Summoner's Rift, it's probably happening off Summoner's Rift, and you just still got to credit Jensen and the system that you left in place for Denium, because it is very hard to teach composure to players, and probably the most composed player on Legacy that game, Juves, in our opinion, was actually Isles, who's the rookie, and that's big ups to the support staff around the team, right?
I know it's not often you talk about Yuumi having a big team fight impact, right, or skirmish impact, because usually they just hop onto the ADC, stay in, and go for the ride, but Isles in those fights, if you go back and watch the VODs, in multiple instances, blocked crucial sleeps from the Zoe, hopped back in the ADC so she couldn't get one shot. But there was so many times Isles did that. For like, I never look at a Yuumi game and think, wow, man, that Yuumi really impressed me. But Isles for me, that game was a real standout.
Certainly didn't. That means that Legacy gonna stay undefeated. Let's take a look at the results from the weekend. I think we can go results first. I hope we can go results first, because first up,
boom.
It was going to be Pentanet.gg taking down the Chiefs, the only right-hand side. Victors and then Avant Gaming taking care of business versus Mammoth. Order come out and absolutely smack Gravitas, and then Legacy managed to just do it again somehow, guys. They managed to pick up a cheeky victory over the Direwolves to remain undefeated. And that means the Oceanic standings are going to look a little bit different, I believe, because as we bring it up on the board, it's going to be Legacy still undefeated, but I believe that should be Pentanet second, because they do have outright head-to-head. So Chiefs should be just third by themselves. Direwolves, Avant Gaming, and Order all in a weird three-way tie, and then it's Mammoth and Gravitas down the bottom. And we're about a third of the way through the season now, guys, and Pentanet looking to be kind of the first contender to step up to Legacy.
Where's it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Austin.
No, you're good.
No, you go.
No, you go. No, I'll go. Pensinet definitely looking the goods here. I was actually looking just below Pensinet as well, Spawn, and I was thinking that the wild cards thrown into this mix, man. Like, if we're picking 5 teams for a gauntlet, that is a crazy set of standings that we're looking at right now, because AV, when they're on their best day, have taken the best teams down. Like, this is so volatile.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Rusty, is that you look at this and then you think, okay, there's a universe where Direwolves or Order miss out on playoffs. And Pentanet, all of a sudden, you know, they're by no means are they safe. 5-3, 1 game ahead, but they look like the safe ones at the moment.
Yep, certainly a very tight season of the OPL. So we'll see how that continues to evolve out. Obviously, we have a full week of OPL coming your way next Friday. Hopefully Nick is back to resume hosting duties, but until we get him back, I'll take you through next week's games. Kicking off 4 p.m. next Friday, July 3rd. It is going to be the Chiefs versus Pentanet. No, that's today's game, I believe.
We're just playing the exact same schedule again. Why not?
We're going to keep doing this until the results change.
We are. We're going to keep doing it until someone beats Legacy. And right now, it looks like Direwolves got the closest, so they get another shot at it. I don't know what next week's games
I can tell you. I can tell you.
Okay, do it, Skimmy.
Go
take
on,
it
right
Next
now.
week, it's going to open up with Order taking on Legacy. A big one for you guys there.
Oh.
Chiefs then up against Gravitas. Pentanet up against Mammoth. And to round out the night, because Direwolves just like to take dubs and make their opponents go to sleep, Direwolves going to close out the night against Avant. It's going to be a banger. See you Friday. Bam.
I don't know if that made sense, but...
None of that made sense, but I believe there were 4 games in there. So that is great. Great job, Skimmy.
Thank
guys,
you.
that is all the OPL action we have for you today. Huge thanks to Neosurf, McDonald's, or Macca's, and Epos for being able to sponsor the event. Huge thanks to Juves for filling in for Nick, who I filled in for, but then Juves filled in for me. You know what? It got a little bit messy, as well as Rusty, Skimmy, the entire production crew here. I've loved hosting this weekend. Hopefully you have enjoyed the show as well. We're going to play some SPL after this break, but if you don't stick around for that, we'll catch you next Friday for more OPL action.
Today is the Neosurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe, and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
It's got it! This is deadly! It's got it!
Welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play, got to multiple members. He gets himself a double kill.
It's Raze doing what he does, the team fight king.
Love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
Greetings, Captain. Incoming status report with news from the Convergence. We've lost contact with some of our allies and enemies have called in reinforcements. We'll have to round up some new recruits if we want to restore peace to the galaxy. Ready? This is Team Fight Tactics Galaxies. Return to the stars. Valkyrie and Void forces have withdrawn from the intergalactic arena. But systems report that new champions have emerged with abilities we've never seen before. Mechanized units identified as Battlecast wreak fear and havoc among the ranks of their adversaries, while Astros possess unique abilities. It looks like some remarkably powerful champions are making their way to the front lines. A creature of total mechanical terror, Urgot launches his drill at enemies and reels them in for utter annihilation. Janna casts powerful storms across the battlefield, bolstering allies and disrupting enemy units with impressive crowd control. Thanks to her unique origin, she grants allies additional attack bonuses, giving her team some much-needed support. Oh, one more thing. The Galactic Leaderboard has been reset. With legions of new recruits entering the intergalactic stage, each with unlimited potential waiting to be tapped, I can hardly calculate all the future possibilities. Well, actually, I can. But that's not the point. The galaxy needs you, Captain. So, ready on your go.